Okay, so for today's lesson, we're going to look at a topic called subtracting expressions. We're still dealing with what's called linear expressions, and that is where there's no exponents with the variables, and it's just x by itself or y by itself, so they're not combined together, they're not multiplied or divided by each other. But subtracting, there's a couple of different things that we're going to look at. There's actually two different ways that we can think of subtracting expressions. We're just going to look at one of them today in this lesson. Okay, so first couple things to get, and if you need to pause and get these down, you can. So that top bullet point, it says subtracting linear expressions is still simplifying expressions. And so if it says to simplify the expression, this is what we're going to be doing, okay? And there are three steps that we're going to look at in today's examples to subtract these expressions. So step one is we're still going to put the same shape around like terms. So the first thing that we're going to do is rewrite the expression without parentheses. Okay, the second thing is we're going to subtract the second term from the first term. So we would put the same shape around the 6x and the 2x. We would put a different shape around the plus 3 and the plus 2. And then we would subtract those two terms from each other. We might have to use the rules for subtracting integers. If there is a minus a negative number, subtracting a negative term, then we've got to use those rules. We'll talk about that as we go through our examples. But same thing as what we've been talking about with simplifying expressions. Once we get to a point where there are no more parentheses and there are no more like terms, that means we're finished subtracting or simplifying this expression. So let's look at our first example together then. So 2x minus 3 minus x minus 2. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and circle and box in. Now, we talked about when there was adding linear expressions, we wanted to get rid of those parentheses. For subtracting linear expressions, if you need to, we can keep these parentheses in this expression. So we're going to we'll circle the 2x, which means we're also going to circle the x. Now, another thing, since that minus sign right here is outside of the parentheses, we would not circle that. Okay, so the minus sign is outside of the parentheses. We're not going to circle that. We're just going to circle the x. And then we have minus 3 that we circle. Notice that that we box in, Box in the minus 3 and the minus 2. Notice that the minus sign on the 3 and on the 2, those are inside the parentheses. So they're going to go with the minus 3 and the minus 2. Okay? So once we have put the same box around the same shapes, that is when next we subtract the terms from each other. So I'm going to write this over here. You might want to write this note on your paper as well. We're going to subtract the like terms. Subtract the like terms from each other. What I mean is we would write everything that's been circled on one side. So 2x, and we just have an x. We'll do the same thing for everything that's been boxed in. We boxed in the minus 3 and we boxed in the minus 2. Because we are subtracting, it's a little bit different. We're going to write a subtraction sign in between both of these. So I'm going to also put parentheses around that minus 2, just so we know it's minus a negative 2. So we write the 2x and the x, and we're subtracting those. We write the minus 3 and the minus 2, and we're subtracting those. 2x minus 1x is just going to get us 1x, so just x. Negative 3 minus negative 2, that's where we got to think back to the start of the school year. We talked about the different rules with subtracting. We need to change both of those to pluses. Negative 3 plus positive 2 would get us negative 1. So it would be 1x minus 1. 1x minus 1. Okay, so I'm going to go into the next example and we'll see if it makes a little more sense. So we've got 5x, we'll circle. And then since the minus sign here is outside of the parentheses, it does not go with the 2x. So we're just going to circle a 2x. And then we're going to box in a -9 and a -7. Okay? So everything that's circled, we have 5x and we have 2x. And then everything that's been boxed in was -9 and -7. And then since we are subtracting, we're going to subtract those two terms from each other. So that is what it's going to look like. 5x minus 2x. Then on the other side, it's -9 minus -7. 5x minus 2x would get us 3x. -9 minus -7, change both of those minus signs in front of the 7 to a plus. -9 plus +7 would give us -2. So that's going to be 3x minus 2. 3x minus 2. Okay, we'll do one more together. Actually, you all do this one on your own. So pause it and do that first one on your own. Pause it and do the first one on your own. Okay, so same thing here. There's nothing in front of the parentheses, so we're going to circle 4x and circle the 2x. And then we would put a box around the -6 and the -4. Okay, we have what's been circled, 4x and 2x, and we're going to be subtracting those because of the subtraction sign right there. And then on the other side, we have -6 minus -4. Okay, -6 was boxed in, -4 was boxed in. We're subtracting those two from each other. 4x minus 2x is going to get us 2x. -6 minus -4, change that to -6 plus +4, and that's going to get us -2. So 2x minus 2 would be our answer. All right, so then for our last one, I want you to notice what's different about that one. You notice there is a 2 in front of the second set of parentheses. So what we've got to do first is we've got to distribute this 2 to both the 2x and to the 8. So we're going to rewrite this first. Okay, so rewrite this first. And it's going to be 6x minus 10 minus, and I'm going to rewrite the second one in parentheses. I'm going to show you why I'm going to do that. 2 times 2x is 4x, and then 2 times 8 would be plus 16. If we had written it without parentheses, that would have changed what sign was in front of these terms. So I just rewrote this in parentheses, so that way it makes it look a little bit more like what we've just done. I can even put the 6x minus 10 in parentheses as well. So once we get to this point, we distribute that 2. We're going to circle the 6x and the 4x, and we'll box in the minus 10 and the plus 16. And remember, we're subtracting the like terms from each other. So it's 6x minus 4x. On the other side, we've got -10 minus positive 16. So that's what it would look like. -10 minus positive 16. 6x minus 4x gives us 2x. -10 minus 16, that's going to be like -10 plus -16. So it's actually going to get us -26. So our answer, our final expression, would be 2x minus 26. 2x minus 26. Okay, so that is the first way that we can simplify expressions when there is a subtraction sign in between those two. So if it says to subtract the linear expressions or to simplify, and you see the subtraction sign there, a little different than adding, that's the first step. We're going to put the like terms in the same shape like we have done, and then we're going to subtract the second term from the first term. Okay, you all can work on the practice problems, and we're going to look tomorrow at another method that we can use to subtract these expressions.